Hello, dear students. Today we are here to discuss evil in the Lord of the Flies. So, why is Golding so obsessed with evil? That's the first question. It is because Golding is writing during the two world wars. He was born in 1911. So it is during the Second World War that he becomes very conscious as a writer, and he is very conscious about that evil that surrounds him. And he has also worked as a schoolmaster, and he has dealt with young boys. So while dealing with young boys, he thought that it is not that they are always good, but they are always evil, and mostly they are evil. And he didn't believe in the other texts that were written for young boys, like the Treasure Island or the Coral Island. They were always very happy ending, with young boys being very enthusiastic, very energetic, and always doing the good, always being very just. But what Golding observed for himself was even young boys were very evil, and they could kill, they could do all those bad things. They were very ferocious, they were very violent. And these are the elements that Golding observes and he tries to write in Lord of the Flies. And that's why evil becomes a predominant theme in Lord of the Flies. So, the title of William Golding's novel, Lord of the Flies, refers to the incident in chapter 8 when Simon has a vision while experiencing a prodrome to an epileptic seizure. So he has epileptic seizures, and there he hallucinates, he imagines. And Simon, the most sensitive and insightful of the boys, likes to get away by himself in a favorite hideaway in the jungle after Jack and his hunters kill a sow. And the killing of the sow is also very bestial, because that sow is a pregnant sow, so she cannot run. And these boys, they have no empathy for this sow because she is pregnant. And they celebrate the killing, they celebrate the hunting, and then they stick the pig's head on a stick, and they dance, and there's laughter, which is all very terrible. So he likes to get away by himself in a favorite hideaway in the jungle after Jack and his hunters kill a sow. They cut off its head and plant it on a stick right outside Simon's retreat. The pile of guts attract a mass of flies, and that gives the image of Lord of the Flies. And the flies, after gorging on blood, come and land on Simon. As Simon turns to face the pig's head, he imagines it as the Lord of the Flies. And the Lord of the Flies here refers to Beelzebub, since it seems to be a kingly authority over the buzzing insects. So as if the head is in control of the insects, he is controlling the flies. So who is Beelzebub? Beelzebub is a devil and is considered next only to Satan. So he creates that image of Beelzebub. The children, according to Bible, are innocent, but Golding feels that if not disciplined and watched, even children can turn devilish. Evil is inherent in mankind, and even children and young boys are not free from it. So, Lord of the Flies is also about inner voices. Lord of the Flies is a translation. Actually, if you know what is the meaning of Lord of the Flies, so it stands for Beelzebub. It's another name for Beelzebub, a demon mentioned in the New Testament as a chief of the demons. Thus, it represents the epitome of evil. Simon enters into dialogue with the pig's head on a stick, as he calls it, trying to diminish it. He doesn't want to acknowledge that it appears so ghastly like Beelzebub. So he just calls it a pig's head on a stick. So he wants to avert the devilish consciousness that he is facing. The head tells him that it is the beast, which actually reflects a sentiment Simon had previously when he tried to tell the boys, as they attempted to decipher the nature of the beast. The boys are always afraid of the beast. They are feeling that the beast is everywhere, that maybe it's only us. So the evil is inside them first comes to Simon's mind, and Simon is also thought to be the Christ figure. So it is to him that the revelation comes. The head goes on to tell Simon, "I am part of you. Close, close, close." This reveals Golding's primary theme of the novel, namely that the reason societies fall apart is because of mankind's essential illness, mankind's essential evil is at the center of the novel. The title suggests that evil deeds are central to the theme of the novel, and Golding keeps it as a title to remind the reader that the conversation between the Simon and the devil and that inner inherent evil that is there inside all those boys are the prime motive or the theme of the novel. So the title also represents the basic theme of the novel, that is evil and the devil and Beelzebub and all the evil things that can happen. So it also makes clear that devil or evil is not outside but inside human conscience or human psyche. So you see that how it builds up. So first there are signs of civilization, and later on in the later chapters we see that the civilization is shattering. So the first 3 chapters, if you just see the details, the names of the chapters. So the very first chapter is titled The Sound of the Shell, and this chapter shows that there is some kind of democracy, people are listening to each other, the conch shell has brought all the boys together and they are listening to each other, they are keeping their views. It shows harmony, and there is election, and Ralph is their elected leader. So it also shows leadership, it also shows democracy. But evil is even there in the very beginning, in the very first chapter. If you read the opening lines, I always say that opening lines of a novel is very important while you are reading a text or a novel. So from the very beginning, it is very eerie, the atmosphere is very eerie, and there is something sinister is lurking at the background that is very evident, very clear from the very beginning. So I am reading the opening lines. The boy with fair hair lowered himself down the last few feet of rock and began to pick up his way towards the lagoon. Though he had taken off his school sweater and trailed it, now from one hand his grey shirt stuck to him and his hair was plastered to his forehead. All round him the long scar. So the place where they have landed is referred to as a scar, and it is the pain they have inflicted upon this island. So these boys, their landing on this island doesn't represent civilization, but it is an attack on the island, and that is how it is seen. So all around him the long scarf smashed into the jungle with a bath of heat. He was clambering heavily among the creepers and broken trunks. Broken trunks are also showing that they are also attacking nature. They are also not nurturing the nature around them, but they are also hurting the nature around them. When a bird, a vision of red and yellow, flashed upwards with a witch-like cry. So this cry of the bird that is in the very beginning of the novel, it sets the setting of something evil, something eerie, something sinister. Flashed upwards with a witch-like cry, and this cry was echoed by another. So these are the opening lines, and such references of darkness and evil can be found throughout the novel. And then, but still, the beginning, though there is evil, still the boys are together, they are behaving in a civilized manner. There are certain problems here and there, but still they go on as a group. The second chapter is Fire on the Mountain. It depicts the civilization, because fire is a symbol of civilization. It's one of the early discoveries of human beings and their first step towards civilization. And they are keeping the fire, it is giving them cooked food, it is also giving them heat and warmth, and it is also a signal for the outer civilization to find these boys. So the fire on the mountain is very important. Huts on the beach, because this also shows the togetherness. The boys are coming together, they are building the huts, they are staying together, and huts again are symbolic of safety. It is also a symbol of security, and symbolism is one of those things that is very deep set in the whole novel. So if you are reading the novel, you have to carefully see all the symbols. I am only referring to the important symbols that are in the very opening of each chapter. But after these 3 chapters, we see the deterioration of the psyche of the boys. And we see from civilization, the children, the boys are turning towards barbarism. There is a gradual loss of civilization. There is anarchy. The boys aren't listening. The little ones are making the island dirty. Even their natural dress, because they have only one dress, is getting filthy. They are getting dirty. They don't have other means of keeping themselves clean in this place. And then the boys don't want to work. They don't want to keep the fire alight. They are falling apart, and Ralph cannot control all the boys. Then they are also behaving in a barbaric manner, and chapter 4, painted faces and long hair, almost makes them look like savages, like tribals, people who are not civilized at all, unpolished, uncultured. And so boys start behaving like forest dwellers, and they are no longer belonging to the civilized British society from which they have landed to this place. So, and then they are hunting there, and first it is for food. First they begin hunting, Jack and his boys. The big ones start hunting for food, but later on this hunting becomes a barbaric ritual, and they dance and they enjoy the killing of the pig and the sow. And there is a laughter and dance followed by a hunting, and it almost turns. This is from page number 68 of Lord of the Flies. The laughter became bloodthirsty snarling. The boys started enjoying killing the animals, and that shows that barbarism is there in their veins. It is latent in them, and it is just coming out. So there is one more thing about evil. Evil is also lurking in the background. There is also a fear of the evil. The evil is inside the boys, but they are also afraid of evil outside. So there is evil inside, and there is the fear of evil that is outside. So everywhere the boys go, the little ones are the ones who get afraid first. They feel that there is a ghost or there is a beast who might kill them. And so they hallucinate, they imagine that there is a beast. And first they think that the beast is coming from water. So from all the elements around them, they feel that there is a beast. The beast could be a huge animal, or it could just be their imagination. Who is the beast is never made clear. From the next 3 chapters are about the beast. Chapter 5 is beast of water. Chapter 6 is beast from the air, and that is again imagination, because when it is actually a parachute and it is a dead pilot that they see, and they imagine that it is a beast from the air. So there is beast from water, beast from air, and then shadows and tall trees, and they even imagine a beast lurking in those trees. So there is the fear of evil lurking, evil being all around, they're being killed. So this constant fear is always hanging upon the boys. They don't feel safe. And the gradual deterioration has started. They are not trying to obey Ralph. They don't want to live in a civilized manner. They don't want to work. They don't want to follow instructions. And then there is the chapter, and now the darkness is taking over. Fire also represents light. So earlier there was fire on the mountain. Now the fire burns out because nobody is keeping the fire alive. They are not bringing woods. They are not keeping the fire alive. And fire was also their connection with the outer world, because that is the signal that they are making on the mountain. So suddenly, when there is no fire on the mountain, there is darkness. And there is gift for the darkness. Fire on the mountain dies, and that darkness is also a symbol of evil. And then there is a view to death. And these boys, they go on and they kill Simon. So killing of Simon, and Simon is also the Christ figure, so killing of Simon is also a killing of innocence in the boys. And then the shell and the glasses, they take away the shell, they take away the glasses. So from democracy in the beginning, because the shell was also a symbol of democracy, of power, now this shell is taken away and the glasses of Piggy are broken and taken away. So that shows that technology, science, innovation, civilization, everything has been captured by barbarism, by brute force. So brute force, brutality, animal force, bestiality is taking over the mind of these young boys. And now instead of living in hut, they are living in the caves. So they have become from hut dwellers, they have become rock dwellers, and that also shows a shift from civilization to barbarism. And then there is the cry of the hunters, and they hunt down Piggy, and they're also going to kill Ralph. And it is at that time that people from outside notice the light fire that Ralph has kept burning, and they come and they try to rescue the boys, and they see the figure of the boys, and they think that the boys are brave, but it's Ralph who knows what has happened in the background is they have killed two boys, they have turned into murderers. And this is how evil works. It is in our mind, and if we are unable to control it, it can wreak havoc. So this is not the end of the Lord of the Flies, because there are too many things, too many factors that I would like to talk about Lord of the Flies. So, but for give you with the thoughts about evil. And for further reading, you can see Terry Eagleton's On Evil, Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, and Philip Zimbardo's The Lucifer Effect, How Good People Turn Evil. And I think it will give you more insight on understanding how evil works. That's all for now.